Hi, I'm Trevor Conquergood from Sunset Stitches, and welcome to today's recording, which is a special video for the FTC-U weekly series. And that's a nice little picture of me in my studio, and there's a picture of me and my friend Walter Floriani. And I have to say, I've been a fan of Walter's for many, many years, and that is a picture of us in the early 2000s at a fun club event in Las Vegas. Walt had a fun club. I was always a member. It was the Floriani United Network for Embroidery Education. Anyway, I'm so proud that I've been friends with Mr. Walter Floriani and that I'm able to own and train and work with his embroidery software. This fall will be the 14th time that Floriani has updated the software just since I began using it, which is about 5 years ago. So that is not how many updates there's been, certainly since they created their software. But since we came out with the newest, the new platform FTC-U, it's been 5 years. And this fall will be the 14th update. And it's just one of the things I love about the Floriani software is that we look so forward to those updates. And every time they do an update, they add new tools to the software. I think they've added probably dozens of new tools over the last several years, as well as made it more powerful with each update. And yet, each time, it gets a little bit easier to use and learn. And so I'm always super excited about it. I was recently in Knoxville for a little education meeting with all of the educators and DJ, and he shared with me a PDF that he had put together of all of the software that Floriani makes, just itemizing all of the updates. And I'm just going to open that up. It really blew me away to go through the updates this way, and I'll show you how you can go through the updates too on our website. But yeah, like just flipping through, and this includes all of the softwares, My Design Album and Lettering Master, whatever, Total Quilter. But specifically, let's just look through the FTC-U stuff. I mean, each time there was an update, they would have put out videos talking about what was new and sort of like, a web page that you could visit to find out how the software had changed. And looking through the changes, a lot of the updates are new tools, new functionality, but it's also enhancements. And it was amazing to me how many times I saw the word enhancement, where things were being sort of updated or improved upon. I was so excited about it. I recently did a class for my FTC-U workshop number 3, class number 15. Just this week, we went through this list, and I pulled out kind of like Trevor's favorites list, and showed off a few of the things that were new since the software came out. But one of the things that I thought was really amazing was that I counted 85 videos that were made by DJ just explaining new tools and enhancements to the software. And wow, that's so impressive to me as a software owner to have that kind of an opportunity to, to not only get updates, but to understand them and see what's new, and 85 videos. And if you look around the RNK Software Club, and I'll take you guys there in just a moment, I found 35 or 34 training videos for the Floriani software. I found 258 and counting Floriani Club weekly videos. Some of those were made by me. A lot of those were made by Kathy Quinn, sometimes DJ, sometimes Mark. There's lots of people that have contributed to that body of work. And it's really amazing. Most of those videos are probably 15, 10, maybe 5 minutes long. But if you add them all up, like 258 weekly videos, 34 training videos, 85, update videos, and I'm sure I haven't caught all the videos on that website. That's over 370 some odd videos, which if you divide by 10 minutes of video is like 60 hours of stuff you can literally binge watch like you would Netflix and catch up, on all the great opportunities to learn about the software. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop up the Floriani software for a moment, and I'll work on this design for you guys in just a minute. Some things that I picked out for today that are fun, but I just want to quickly show you one last thing, and that's if I go to the Floriani Club. So I kind of went fast there. I'm sorry. If you click under the Help drop-down menu and then select Floriani Club, you'll need to be connected to the internet to do that, and it takes you to this amazing website, and you'll need to log in. So I guess I've already logged in, so it's taking you, it knows my name. Hi, Trevor. If you haven't already, well, obviously if you're watching today's video, you've obviously done this because you're on our list to get the weekly videos. But just so that you know, when you look under updates, you'll find all the different softwares that could be updated. And if you visit Floriani Total Control Updates, you'll find the information about the latest version. It's, currently we're using 3561, came out in March 2019. I'm recording today in August, so we're in anticipation of an update sometime in the fall of 2019, usually when it comes out. And when it does, it'll be the 14th update. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, you can scroll through this page to find out everything that's new in the software, including videos that DJ made. These are the ones that I'm saying. I counted 85 of them, update videos. And I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of this page for a minute to show you where it says update history. If you visit that link, it takes you to a page where you can see all of these different updates, and it tells you the number of the version and the day that it was released. Now, if you've got Floriani Software, there would be no reason to install those updates. We simply get the latest version. You download the latest version and you have all the tools that are available. But that said, visiting, you could print. These are all printable pages that I can click on. They're PDFs that open up. They have all of the information about what was new at that particular time and videos to watch to support what you're learning about. And so certainly that's something that I think people will want to visit and learn about, all of the updates, as well as just looking around the website. If you go to where it says blog and news, that's where you'll find the weekly video. And this right here, the weekly video news archive, click on that. And you've got links to all of the previous weekly videos. And like I said, it goes back for 5 years. So there's just 258 that I counted and growing. And then under the Learning Center and the training videos for FTC-U. And underneath each one of these topics, there are several more videos. And so in total, I don't know how many exact hours there are, but it's well in excess of 60 hours of recordings that have been done and are on the website. Looking back at my slides, I also, of course, have my Trevor's FTC-U workshop classes, and those are the ones that aren't free for software owners, but you can choose to purchase them, and they're additional training with me, a digitizer of 35 years, and I would love to show you how to use the Floriani software. I think I like the way my friend Mark Garrett said it the best when he described the videos, and he said, you see, when you buy a car, you'll get a training manual for your car that'll show you how to use the car. It'll show you how to turn on the lights, how to use the stereo, how to change the tire. But it doesn't necessarily teach you how to drive the car properly and to follow the rules of the road. And that's, to Mark, that's kind of like what my FTC-U workshops were, because of course I show people how to use the software, and I start right from the beginning, assuming that people need to, have just purchased it. But we graduate with that knowledge quite quickly, and we add to it the not just how to use the software, but how to really make beautiful embroidery designs. That's what I like to talk about. The things that we do with our software that give us great results. Anyhow, when I review my workshops, an FTC workshop number 1 was originally 12, live classes, but I've recorded up to 17 of them now, and I have 3 more planned for the fall of 2019. So, by Christmas time, I'll be up to 22-hour classes for that and the DVD, the 5-hour introduction DVD. There's over 40 hours of video just in workshop number 1 that I recorded, and there are over 32 hours in workshop 2, which is now up to 15 classes, and there are another 32 hours in workshop 3, which is also up to 15 classes. So it's quite a body of work. When I put it all together, it's well over 100 hours of video that we've recorded, and I'm super excited for the new classes this fall. So anyhow, we're going to go forward with today's class, and I'm just like you guys. I'm Trevor from Sunset Stitches. I'm super excited to receive the latest update to FTC-U software because as a teacher, I love it. I can begin to teach with those new tools immediately since everyone gets them at the same time. And so recently we got, and this is the design I'll quickly make for you guys today. Sorry for going on about how proud I am of our software and how much I love teaching about it, but the fancy apple. I made it with a steel run outline and a mesh fill, and the frame was made from a variable size motif run. And it's just a great example of how cool, we can be with so little effort because the software is so powerful. And so this is the design that I've already made and stitched out, and I'll just show you guys kind of what it turns out like. So this is called a mesh fill. The mesh fill is the fancy background on here I've chosen a mesh fill that has kind of a wavy pattern, and it has kind of two directions to it. But I'll show you, those are options. And same thing with the border, there's options. This is called a Steil Run, and it's kind of a combo stitch, and you get to choose kind of like a steel and a run option. And the border we will make with the motif run line, but we will use a variable size to create this cool kind of thick and thin look to it. So that is what we're going to make. And so let's go ahead and pop back into the FTC-U software and get on with it, Trevor. So I'll start by using this tool here. It's the Custom Shapes library, where you'll find all kinds of pieces of artwork. And they're called Custom Shapes. And so I'm going to click on the apple to bring it onto my screen, and it's going to show up right in the center of the screen on top of the other design that's already been made. So I'm just going to click and drag to move it over here so I can make the same design again. And the one thing I want to point out right now is that I have this apple selected, and you can tell it's selected because there's a box around it that's known as the transformation box, and it has all kinds of information. There's a link to zoom in on the shape, tells me what size it is. I can make a copy of it if I want to have more than one apple. I just click on that, and you can make a green apple and a red apple, because we don't have many plum colored apples in Saskatoon. Anyhow, so what I'm telling you is that the FTC-U software is really a graphics program, kind of like Adobe Illustrator. It's just very special and awesome because it has all of, when I select this artwork shape, look in my sequence view, it shows I have a red apple. It says it's artwork. And down at the bottom, these are all the styles of embroidery that you can apply to that apple. And whether it be a run stitch outline or a plain fill stitch, you just click on it and it fills it in. So that's basically how it works. And I'm going to click on that apple now to select it. And notice that if I click on the empty workspace, I let go of it. All right. So if I click on the green apple, it's now selected, and I'm just going to click delete because I don't want two apples, at least not right now. I'm going to focus on making that fill. So the fill needed to be a mesh fill. That tool is right here. It's a tool that was new, added about a year ago, one of our updates. And when I click on that mesh fill tool, it applies the mesh fill stitch style. So the apple's now a mesh fill, but it's a simple, basic, single layer of mesh fill. You'll notice right away things about mesh fill are that, first of all, the spacing, the distance between the rows of stitches is quite far apart. And that there's no underlay stitching. It's simply one layer of stitching, and any travel stitches will always stick around the edges. Gives a nice clean look. I have it selected, and now it's all about the properties box on the right here. That's how you can take control of the results beyond, the defaults. And so if I look at the fill, the tab where it says fill, it says that it's a motif fill with a pattern type line and a stitch type of wave. But what we found with the special tool, I always felt like this was a little bit awkward, but when you click mesh fill, it's this little button right here that you click on, and it opens up kind of like a little selector choices of mesh fills. And now you can pop that list up and scroll down and choose, and I think this is the one that I chose. And so when I say okay, you'll see that it updates that mesh fill to give kind of like, see, mine looks like the squares are a little bit bigger than this one. So that's also an example of adjusting the parameters, because right now the wave fill density is set at 4 millimeters, which means the distance between the rows should be sort of measured by 4. In other words, if you made it 6 and said apply, they'd be farther apart. So that's kind of how it works. In this case, I didn't have to create the artwork. We already had the apple. We just had to select it and apply the stitching. So there's your mesh fill. Now I want to put that Steil Run border around it. And the Steil Run border is a different type of stitching that we can apply. And so the easiest way to do that is to kind of make a copy of our apple. And when I click on the apple and select it, there's more than one way to make a copy of it. And if you use the copy symbol here at the bottom, it sets the copy offset. And in this case, that's kind of not really what I want, because I want the border to match the fill. And so I don't really want that to happen. I'm just going to hit delete. In this case, a different way would be to use the copy and paste tool at the top of the workspace. So when I say copy, and then I'll just click off to let you see that nothing's selected. And now if I click paste, it's going to put an apple right on top of the other apple, and see in my sequence view how I have two apples now. And what I can do is ensure that I've selected the second apple in the list, because that's the way it goes. Kind of like the first thing that sows first, and the next thing after it sows next. And so this is the apple that's on top. And we simply come over here and we could make it a run stitch, or a motif run line, or a Steil stitch. But I used the Steil Run. That was a new tool, again, maybe a year and a half ago. And what it does is it creates a combo stitch. I'll zoom in on it so you can see that it's got a Steil border with a run stitch on top. And if I select that, so lots of ways to select things. One way is to look in your sequence view and just click on the shape in your sequence view. So it's sometimes a little easier that way to specifically get the shape you want. And now I'm going to look here at the properties where it says Steil Run, and it says the Steil is first. So if you like, for a different effect, you could use the run first. But you can see in my apple that we did that it went with Steil with a blue swirly thing on top. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So we use the Steil first. And the Steil and the run each have a tab that you can select and adjust, the width or whatever. This says it's a width of 3 millimeters wide. That's fine. If you want to make it skinnier, type 2 and hit apply, and it'll make that border slightly skinnier. Go on the run tab. It's saying it's a single run line, which you can see when you zoom in. But if you like, select it and then go on the run tab, change it to be a fancy motif run line, hit apply, and now you'll see right away what it does. It puts that fancy motif over top of your Steil stitch. And the one I chose was the wavy one, 210. Yeah, so pretty much as simple as that. Another thing you might want to do is take control of the colors. So it's a red fill with a red and pink border. If you would rather see that as a green fill, you just select your shape, choose a color. You can, click on here to choose from any number of color palettes. I've got a custom color palette that I made myself because I like to have just a nice quick little rainbow to look from at the bottom. So that's a color chart that I made. Anyhow. For the border, it has more than one color, and so if you wanted to control both of those colors, notice that I can click on the little expand beside the Steil Run, and it shows me both colors. And so the first one is orange, so why don't we make it, red. The next one is pink. Let's make it yellow, just for some high contrast. In fact, let's take the fill and make it blue, and so you can call it a primary apple because I made it out of the primary colors. Haha. Anyhow, so before we were done, we had to make the cool border. And I just want to show you by clicking on my border to select it. Notice that when I selected my border, I actually got a corner. And that's a little hint to how we're going to make this, because we're going to use, you see, I'm going to draw a shape here. This is the artwork tool. And when I click on it, I can click and click to draw a line. And click again to keep drawing, and right click to stop drawing. So essentially I just drew a yellow vector line. And to make it an embroidery element, I would need to come down at the bottom of my screen and touch on run stitch, or what I'm going to use is the motif run line. And maybe we'll go with a color darker than yellow just so you can see what I'm doing. But you can see that it's made a line. Let's get closer to it here. Trevor, you missed it a little bit. So you can see that it's a line and it's got a motif on it. And this is, again, something... Now, when I first got FTC-U software, I always had the ability to do a motif on a line, but I did not always have the ability to do a variable size to it. And And now I can click on, a choice of increasing, decreasing, convex, and concave to get where it goes from a smaller profile, like sort of motif, to a larger one along my line. And if you change the pattern size, you can make it really dramatic. So I'll make the largest pattern 10 and see how it really is noticeable. Well, that's how we made the corner. So I'm just here, let's click on that and let's just delete it. And let's just click on our line tool and try and imagine that. So I drew a line that kind of went like this. It went straight up like a corner would, and then it came straight across to whatever, approximately half of our apple. And then you right click to stop drawing your line. Select it. I guess I'll recolor it again since I've still drawn that yellow line, and I'll click on the motif. And of course you get a standard motif pattern, so I just choose a variable one, and there's either, well, increasing and decreasing are not what I wanted. In this case I went to convex or concave. I can't remember, is it convex? So that goes from small, and let's make it more dramatic, so make that 10. So that goes, see, it's the opposite, right? Because I went from thick, sort of like fat, to small to fat again, and this is going from small to fat to small. In other words, I chose the wrong one. So yeah, I don't have them memorized either. Sometimes you just have to click and play to get what you want. Now, I've made kind of like a quarter of that apple. So to finish off the design, I kind of need to copy and paste it around the square, and the easiest way to do that is the tool here called Corners Repeat, which, believe it or not, we might think of it as an everyday tool now, but it was in one of those updates not very long ago. This was a new tool. And with Corners Repeat, can you see right away what happens is it just takes that corner and repeats it 4 times around, around the square, so to speak. And so, pretty much that's it. You're done. Oh, it doesn't quite fit. Maybe I want to make it a little bigger. Let's just stretch it out a little bit. If you want to kind of like center everything together, I'll quickly so right now you can see I have this color selected at the bottom, this border. I'm going to group it together so that I can kind of deal with it like it's one thing. I'll use a selection window to select all of the things that I've just made, and then go to my alignment tool and choose to align the centers of each other's objects. So that basically makes sure that the apple's perfectly inside your square, and ta-da, you've made a cool and interesting design. So to me, that was fun. It was like picking out 2 or 3 things that were new features over the last couple of years and making an interesting design to share with you guys. And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Sorry if it was kind of long. I'm Trevor from Sunset Stitches. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.